at my 70th birthday, and they're still alive, they're around my 80s, which is great. Francis talks about my kindness to him. His kindness to me has been just as marvellous as anything I've ever done. When Tom died, Francis was one of the people who were there, who got me back into working again, because I hadn't worked for quite a while because I've been in the army, Tom. And Francis was there, and he's always been there, and I want him to speak of an elder brother in some ways. I live backing him to get elected as vice president and president of the NUJ, which was done basically so I could get the job actually at the NUJ, because I actually needed his vote. So I'm never quite sure how much the NUJ should be thankful for or not. Neil was responsible for giving me one of the nicest nights of my life. I think I'll just say part of the best bit, which was the night he was elected. I don't think I shall ever forget that night. It was the most amazing night, and it was one which nobody expected. And I'd gone back to the count in a taxi, where I'd been listening to Simon Hoodley interview, saying about how he was wonderful, that nobody ever could beat him, the Labour Party kept putting people up, and he kept knocking them down. And that night he was elected, and it was quite wonderful. It was also the night when I first saw Jim on television, actually. As I sat next to Joanna Baxter, who was in tears, as every Scottish MP went down this morning, and I thought Joanna was one of those. Well, what I would like to do, first of all, is to thank everybody who's been helping with me. Being a typical ex-trained individual, I set up a committee, which expanded and expanded and expanded. But I want to thank very much indeed Diana and Gemma, and also Sarah, and Gemma I think became a part of it, and then this afternoon everybody who came and helped. It's been quite remarkable, and particularly I must thank Diana, who's done this amazing cake in the corner, which has been decorated by this girl. So I get that as being something that's actually decorated, so as they thank my dog. I got family here, which means an awful lot to me. And at the very end over there is my cousin Caroline. And Caroline's father was a man called Peter, grandfather was a man called Peter Eckersley. And Peter Eckersley was cousin of, was uncle to Toby Eckersley. And a lot of you will know Toby Eckersley. And it was very bizarre because he and I shared Caroline as a cousin. And it was lovely actually spending time with them, which is great. My other cousin, I don't know if she's got to Rory, over there, is for my father's side, Caroline's for my mother's side, and I got Maureen for my father's side. And her great-grandfather was the eldest brother of my grandfather. So for me it means a lot to have my family here. And I'm so delighted to see them. But in a lot of ways, all of you are my family. Because that's what you become. Because that's what Newton's like. That's what trading world is like. That's what journalism is like. And the people that you get to meet. And they mean so much to me. And looking at people here, the women here are fantastic. I mean, they are quite remarkable. Some years ago, I rang up Kate Carberry, who was the Deputy Home Secretary of the TUC, and asked her if I could get a reference. She burst out laughing and said, you do know you left 40 years ago. So she's not able to here. In the meantime, Chris Coates and I, who both worked at the TUC, are getting rightly pissed off, because we've not had peerage or any unformed decoration. Also there is Megan Doggery. Megan and I were on the Commons Party Print Committee together. We were very involved with the News International dispute. She's been a great friend of mine. She was chair of SOTO, and she commonly, despite working with I think possibly, to write this four booklets of those histories. Burst the School Strike, Cable Street, The Levellers, and Spit Mutiny. Simple subjects, you think. No, it's like everything that was going on around it at the time. So by the time I finished, I realised I'd written 4 centuries basically history of the world. Well, so it seemed anyway. Which she gave it to one of my own mysterious friends. And looking at the people around here, quite opposite me is Alex, Neil's sister. Well, to me, it's supposed to be like a sister of a niece, actually, I think, who's quite close for it. She's born up years friends, as are everybody else around here. You've got the dog walkers who seem to be sitting way over there. The women who've been there every time for me. Last year my dog had a very nasty operation, and they picked her up, they took her up, because I guess she couldn't walk up the steps and things at the time. And they were there all the time, and we particularly traits. For that I will never forget before. And more recently, Trevor taking me up, because the dog had another eye operation and things like that, and he took me up every day to look after her. The dog has cost me a small fortune, so it's better to do this in the one way. But I've had a weird life. I hope you don't mind me going on a little bit about it, because I was born a very strange family. We were very warm, very loving, and that was the thing which was instilled into me. In fact, I was brought up by three people. My father, Tony Vandenberg, my mother, Ursula Mary Grove Vandenberg, and then man called Hugh of Tibet. Hugh of Tibet was rather fought in the Spanish Civil War as a flyer, but also applied for Haile Selassie, and then captured by the Germans just before the war, although he was an Englishman, he was fighting the French as a bureau. And spent 6 years actually in confinement and had been sentenced to death. Afterwards, he wrote a book and a play about it, and my father acted in it. Bumped into him, invited him to tea, and he stayed with us for the next 6 years. So I had three people. He was an artist and a writer and a sculptor, and he took my imagination, because he made me a puppet theatre of all the Czech-type puppets. He made me a French village in cardboard, which was absolutely great until we set up the electricity and burned the house down. So it was a strange childhood. But it was a good childhood in a way, because it was full of actors, writers, poets, artists who came to our house. I'd never been woken up to meet Dylan Thomas. He was very good of my father's, and the head of Dylan Thomas, which is in the Festival Hall, was actually done in our sitting room, much by Mother's Fury. I was nearly taken into care when I was 7 years old, because I was knocked on the door one day. The policeman was there, because he'd heard that I had complained that my mother was pissed, and that she was plastered. And he decided to see my mother, and he was showing me to see my mother, and she wasn't indeed plastered, but with plaster of Paris. A few people was actually making face masks for her at the time. That story made the Daily Mirror. And there's other stories of my lifetime which I'm not going through, also kept on turning up in the Daily Mirror. My father great sense of humour, which he tried to push down to me, which works to a certain extent. I was less amused when he got my mother and I arrested for prostitution in Germany, which was not still. From him I learned to ask questions. Particularly at that time, as my mother and I were with the police. But he was one who taught me to always value people's lives, and also to ask questions, believe in something, and that was what made me want to be a journalist. And I've been very lucky. I've had two careers when you think about it. One as a journalist, working for newspapers, then for London Broadcasting as one of the first 3 million reporters on LBC, then on on PM for BBC, which was the most miserable time of my life, I think. And then going to work for the TVC as a press officer, which I actually originally came to be as was a press officer, in fact. And I worked in 1970 for the Labour Party as a press officer, because they hadn't got any women, and I got led by the TG who I was not in this before. So it was quite bizarre. But anyway, there's a board sheet around, which is the front page, is the thing by Harold Wilson. The centre page is Warren Jenkins, and on the back page is my name. And I'm very proud of that. So anybody can find it. I think there's when I went to work with the NUJ, which was 2 years of shock horror, but it marveled. Because unfortunately, it was the whole of the 80s, of course, all the anti-trade union stuff was going on. And I was heavily involved in the usage national dispute, which had a great effect on me. But in a lot of ways, it's valuing people's lives. And the thing which I learned from my family was empathy. And I think that's hopefully something which I think people should have. And it's very worrying in a lot of ways it seems to be getting lost nowadays. I think the thing, journalism is very much on peripheries things. And there was a moment when I sort of began to lose things forward, when you saw how they were treating trade unions, how they were predicting, how they talked about the groundbreaking dispute in particular. And I saw journalists I knew writing things that I knew weren't true. And that was the moment for me when I got very fed up with journalism and decided I was going to stay with trade unions. And it was very good to see Mary talking here, because Beckham was one of the people who had been involved. As one of my great heroines, actually, for the last 30 years, and she was very much. I then went back to journalism after I got married to Tom, and we made various videos and things together too, which was great. And it was great getting back into it, but doing a different form of journalism. I did audio history of the Labour Party, audio history for TUC. I then, of course, managed myself doing a victories, or being the dead writer, as referred to as being. And it was great writing about people's lives. We just started getting over who people were, and what they were, and why they did things. And that I got great to learn. Unfortunately, the Independent got rid of us all in 2015, so we had a victory for the Independent victory writers, which was good fun, actually. Especially when Donald Carrex was one of them. And since then, I'm writing a book at the moment, which is my memoirs. It's about what we've all been doing at some level in life. Not my mothers will be I've been very good at this. But what keeps me, it's very strange getting to 80, because it's only that while ago that Francis and I were in plotting. You know, there were older people around us, but you were it, we were it, we were the people who were doing things. And you suddenly realise that you're the older person now. And it's very bizarre, it's very strange in some ways. And it's, what keeps me interested in people are the people here. Every one of you. I mean, every one of you has been invited because you mean something special to me. And you are very special to me, because that becomes my family in a way. And that's what you all are. And I want to thank you very much for coming tonight. I'm very grateful to you for being part of my life. As you know, Morgan, I have actually got Parkinson's disease. I am not gained out to finally, and I refuse to allow it. I have a problem studying at the moment, walking around the moment, which is a bugger. I told one story about language, which Francis was referring to. My first meeting in London with London Broadcaster, I don't even swear it there, was with the NUJ, was with London Freelance Branch, which were a terrifying group who had been terrorised, which all made papers. And I went to my first meeting, and in the front row was Bernard Leonard, Woodrow Wyatt, Mark Itamasky. And the second row was my father, with John Stonehouse and John McVicker. At which point I thought, this is kicking me over the top. And I got scared. I started spelling my way through the speech version. My father asked me afterwards, I never knew I'd heard this back before in his life. But it was a big lesson in ways not to do it. But that took me a while to get away with reputation from them. But thank you for everything, and thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. Thank you for Neil for being such a friend, and he has been particularly over the last couple of years. And to Francis, who I can always ring up and chat to and get advice and help from. To my cousin Maureen over there, who's like a sister actually to me, and has been for a long time. And for all the other friends who are here, particularly Alice, who what's happened is that two of our councillors here from here are both MPs, and that practice says an awful lot, and they hopefully I don't know them sometime. But again, just thank you very much indeed, and I'm so grateful to you all. Bye-bye.